Okay, so this is part one of several parts of videos that I'm going to make as tutorials for folding and rolling techniques that you will need to know during your time at basic training. By rolling and folding techniques, I am talking about clothes. You have your santee, your sports bras, your socks, and chances are, since I did go 14 months ago or something like that now, they might have changed things. So, you know, this might not be how it is anymore, but this is how I learned to do it. These are the socks that you will be issued at basic training. Your green socks. Now, for some reason, my pair that I have here, one of them is longer than the other. Significantly. Look. I don't know why. It's like two different socks, I guess, actually. So, okay, I've already prepped these two. And excuse my voice and my cough, I'm still a little sick, but okay, so I've prepped these two. When you lay them out to roll them, you want them to be flat with the heel facing up. You don't want it to be sideways like you normally do when you fold socks. So, heel needs to be flat and up, okay? Starting with the toes. So then you overlap them. It's really important that the two heels are not directly on top of one another, okay? For the sake of just having a neater sock when you roll it. And also because you want the top, before you start rolling, to be about 2 inches or so, okay? A 2-inch difference between the tops. Because when you roll them up, the top sock tends to slide up, which when you secure it with the open part here, which I'll show you later, this needs to be below here. So be sure there's a couple inches at the top before you start rolling. Now, this one's going to be a little messed up because of the difference in length, but we're going to have to deal with it. So, that's all nice and set up. Okay, so we start by rolling with the toe first, okay? Now, this works better with 2 people. We always had 2 people doing this at the same time. But since it's just me, I'll show you, which you can do it just by yourself. What you're going to do is press, you're going to put your foot on top of that side as hard as you can. Start with the toes, and you're going to pull it really tight. And it's important that you start this off tight right from the beginning. Our MTI expected these to be as tight as rocks, okay? Which, I mean, you'll learn how to do that there. But as you roll, you want to be sure you're pulling the edges out, okay? Trying to get the edges as flat as possible. Now, once the sock is rolled, you're going to actually be able to fix those the edges in a pretty easy way. But just to make that job a little easier, try to get them as flat as possible, okay? So we're going to roll that up. Can you see how tight I'm pulling that? Pretty good. You want to make sure there's no fuzzies or hair. I mean, of course, they're not going to really check the insides, although sometimes they would unroll them, so you want to really be sure that it's free of any hair or lint. And living in a girl's dorm, there's going to be hair everywhere, so you really got to be careful. Okay, be sure that you keep it really tight. Use my foot. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. That's not going to be difficult at all. So we're finished here. The other side's not so good. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so just keep pulling on up both sides. Yeah, this side's pretty bad. That's going to be difficult to fix, but this isn't going to be perfect. Like I said, it's been almost a year and a half since I graduated basic, so. Okay, so normally, if your socks were not like mine, or one of them is literally 6 inches shorter than the other, this would not be an issue, okay? You don't want that much room between your 2 socks when you finish. Like I said, you want about 1 inch, 2 inches, you know, from the opening of the sock on top to the bottom. Okay, so that is too much. Okay, so now This end is awful. That's gonna be almost impossible to fix actually. But I'm not gonna redo it right now. That's really good, okay? That's how you want it to be really when you're finished. So then you take it like so, the opening of the bottom sock, and see, just like that, grab it and pull it over. Oops, you gotta be sure that stays nice and tight. Okay, let me just try to do this really quick. There, okay. So when you do this, you don't want to pull these two ends all the way over here yet, okay? Because we still need to fix this problem. 2 words that you need to get used to at basic training. No, 1 word, I'm sorry. Flush. All your edges and corners need to be flush. Say it with me, flush. Okay, so you see that is not flush. This is closer to being flush, but not quite. You see there's still little edges sticking out. So, easy solution. Using the floor, a wall, or your bedpost, which your beds will have posts on them. That's what we used. It works best. You're going to take it and you're just going to pound it to flatten it out. That is perfection. You see that? That's what it should look like. That is awful. That is perfection. So once you have both the edges completely flat, excuse me, press it in here with your hand too. Yeah, this is a pretty solid one too. Okay. You don't want any wrinkles. Watch. You don't want it to look like that. See, that it's actually too loose. But then you're going to finish pulling it over. And our MTI was pretty specific where all these needed to look the same. Like all the openings had to be the same, you know, the same size. Like you can have really little openings or really big openings. Okay, so that's the bad end. So we're not gonna pay attention to that. But this end is pretty good. Okay, it's pretty flat. This side should look like a smiley. You see that? A nice tight smiley. So that, my friends, is a rolled basic training green sock. Now that little crease, oh, there's hair on it. I probably should vacuum my floor. Okay, there we go. Okay, now that little wrinkle there would not be acceptable either, but this gives you the basic idea, right? Okay, like I said, smiley face. That end is bad, this end is good. That's actually really good. Okay? Show you again. Beautiful. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful, and remember, keep those edges flush.